At this time, I'll call the May 20th, 2021 meeting to order for the Dixon County Commission. Would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have any additions to the agenda, so I would move that we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the May 13th meeting. It also includes fund expenditures of $464,785.33. Wire payments, which is credit cards of $24,291.48. Contract services of $6,307. CDBG funds of $16,947.13. Utilities of $8,963.93. Abatements of $7,699.98. And added tax of $550.90.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion or question? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to commission comments. Ron?
Yes, I spent a little bit of time yesterday at the Juvenile Detention Center in Junction City. Went over their finances and things are operating relatively well. They're operating within budget guidelines. Everything's holding together, so they're doing a wonderful job.
Okay, great.
Yes, last Thursday evening, I attended the Dixon County Economic Development Corporation meeting. I guess one of the, I shouldn't say highlights, but one of the things that we forget about is we do have insurance now for cyber attacks for the Development Corporation. I can't remember exactly, it was a little over $2,000, $1 million worth of coverage. Up to, so if you have 6 incidents, you know, it's only 600,000, so that's $4,000 left of coverage. And also, since what you know more about is the chamber, they have a rider now for when they would serve an open house, something like that, alcohol, insurance policy to coverage for that. A lot of good, it was a short meeting, it was well about 50 minutes. I think you guys got a good board and stuff, and Chuck's doing an excellent job. I can't think of the new staff member they added, but and you have 2 people now added. You might know the lady's name that.
And she's from Woodbine and I.
Well, yeah, she's the administrative assistant, and they added another one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but doing a good job, I think. That's all I have then.
Okay. Okay. And I was unable to attend this last time, and so Craig represented the commission there ex officio, and it really has a good involvement and reach throughout the whole county. We also had, for myself, a Central Kansas Mental Health meeting. It's our monthly meeting. Of course, some of the discussion there has to do with budgets, and which kind of segues into earlier this morning, we did begin our budget process as far as formally hearing from some of the groups on what their requests were. Central Kansas Free Fair, Old Abilene Town, and the Juvenile Detention Center. And we will be continuing that process in the weeks ahead. And we will have, on June 10th, we will not have our budget meetings because Brad and Craig will be attending the Kansas County Conference in Liberal. And so that's going to be something we'll be hearing from outside agencies, but also we'll be hearing from our department heads and the county, and then evaluating that and coming up with a budget to have something in place towards the end of June or first part of July. And then, of course, there's a process of it being published and before it's adopted and things like that. So procedurally, it's been in the works here for the last month or two, and we're at the stage now where the county commission is hearing those reports and requests. That's all I have. We do not have any petitions or proclamations. This is the time that we have public comment. If there is anyone that would want to make a comment, if you'd please advise us on the screen and we would hear from you. It'd be something where just give your name, address, what your concern is. And so we have a couple up there. Just someone making a comment because we did discuss some of the county roads earlier, and Rhonda had just mentioned that we should ask those who want wider roads how much of a tax increase they would accept to pay for it. And of course, even though it's maybe a specific road, that would be supported countywide, but we do look into funding opportunities, and safety and maintenance of roads is part of our charge. But we do try to evaluate that from a safety standpoint, but also just as far as good value for our money too. Okay, I do have Lori Megan Armstrong. If you'd like to speak to our group, please go ahead.
Good morning. This is Lori Megan Armstrong, 1173 Old 40. I'm back with the Kansas-Nebraska National Heritage Area. I requested on May 6th that was added to the agenda, and I believe Commissioner Peterson asked for it to be added in the next couple of weeks. And here we are in the next couple of weeks, and it missed the agenda. So I'm requesting once again that we get this on the agenda for May. I'm bringing it back to the table because as of today, there are 16 out of 26 Kansas counties that have opted out of being part of this Kansas-Nebraska Heritage Area. And that's in addition to the Nebraska governor also opting out his state from this area. Previously, Brad Homan mentioned that he doesn't understand the need to pass a proclamation or resolution. Which effect could it have? So I went and did a little homework, and it turns out that back in May of 2019, you guys passed a proclamation to be included in the Freedom Frontiers Act, the National Heritage Area. So I find that to be kind of a false claim that he doesn't understand why this would be effective one way or another. If we can do a proclamation to include ourselves, I think it's just as legitimate to make a proclamation or to exclude ourselves, especially when Mr. Peterson and Commissioner Chamberlain have both sat in on meetings where there were hundreds of people in the room who a quarter of them put their name on paper to say they don't want to be included. You continue to receive emails. Angel Cushing came in and gave a presentation. You guys didn't have any questions. You haven't reached out to Dickens County leadership team, Leadership Kansas, for any additional information or support. And Commissioner Chamberlain said that he was referring to the Farm Bureau and Kansas Land Trust. I think we can all agree Kansas Land Trust has a certain bias to appropriating public property for state use. So I'm not sure that that's really the entity I want to rely on when it comes to private property rights. Additionally, one of the biggest concerns for these NHAs is it's managed by an unelected board. We have a hard enough time being heard by our elected officials. How on earth are we supposed to be heard by unelected officials when it comes to our private property rights? In addition, it's being said that these NHAs are good for tourism and building up dollars. But we just had a homestead hop here in the area over the course of a couple weekends that was very successful, promoted across multiple areas. And guess what? They didn't need an NHA to do that. So I think that our citizens, if they want tours in this area, they're going to find ways to make it happen, and that there's low cost, effective ways to make that happen. I don't think we need to add in an additional layer of government bureaucracy that's not voiced by the people. If you guys have any contrary points to that, I'd really like to hear them, because I am willing to do the homework to find out how I could better inform you.
Laura, this is Craig Chamberlain here. I didn't refer to the Kansas Land Trust. I referred to the Kansas Livestock Association. I don't know where you come up with the land trust.
I think maybe he did say KLA, but I knew you were referring to the Livestock Association, but good clarification.
Well, if it was Kansas Land Institute, it'd be KNI, Kansas, KLI.
And that may have been my mistake. I apologize. It was my understanding when you said the letters, that's what I heard was the Kansas Land Trust. So if it was the Kansas Livestock Association, I am curious what you found there that would support this idea, Mr. Chamberlain?
Well, no, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty here, but Ray Flickner, he's the lawyer for the Farm Bureau. He owns the ground in Republic County, I believe. I listened to a 30-minute presentation. Most of it was on this other issues, but the last 10 minutes were on the Kansas-Nebraska Land Act. He didn't see the problem that Farm Bureau would take a position on it. And then I can't remember, it's been 3 or 4 weeks ago, Kansas Livestock Association didn't have a problem with the Kansas Land or Kansas-Nebraska Heritage Act. And that's all like I said, that's what I've done.
The part on the Farm Bureau, I believe it was on WIBW, and it was a program where they did an interview, and rather lengthy and so on. So it is something that is recorded that a person could go back and look at that. And that was probably 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Or 6 weeks ago, but okay. And I do know, I was looking in our mail, and we do have on our notices and communications, we do have something in here regarding the Nebraska, the Heritage Act, the National Heritage Act. I think maybe it would be helpful, and I did, mention that we could probably have this on the agenda in the next few weeks or in May, and probably it'd be better just to go ahead and have it on the agenda next week, and that way we can either have the formal action to adopt it or to opt out or keep things as is. But that way it just kind of clarifies where we're at. And we may not be in complete agreement on it. And having said that, I know when I say not complete agreement as far as the commission, we may not, but that's one reason you have 3 voices, and everybody has a different take on it, and often we agree unanimously, and if that's the case, good. If that's not the case, that's okay. But I know, as Craig mentioned, I have seen information kind of on both sides of that issue. Any other comments? Okay, I think that's all we have then as far as public comment, and thank you for your comments. We will go ahead and go on to our reports from our county officers, since we have our county administrator first. Brad?
Okay, I would just quickly add too that, as a recap, that we did I contacted Julie Roller Weeks. Julie is kind of a resident expert on the Heritage Foundation and these issues, and she's the one that indicated, as all the other sources that I've been able to come up with, that the Kansas Nebraska land issue is its top priority is property rights, and it has nothing to do with the ulterior that many people have impressed upon as being a land grab. And there's no evidence to that. We heard from, as you said, the legal counsel from the Kansas Livestock Association and the Kansas Farm Bureau, who both saw no issues with it. And Julie had indicated to me that that's a good temperature taking method. I mean, those organizations monitor land right issues with for their constituents extremely closely. So I would also say that just because other counties did it, in my opinion, for what it's worth, is not a good reason to go out and do something. I think we need to evaluate that based on our needs. We are a little different than a lot of those counties. One of our primary revenue sources, as you well know, is tourism. So, and I know that when we did the Heritage Proclamation last year, Julie was extremely excited about that. I believe she attended your meeting. And I would suggest that maybe we ought to have her come to the work session next week if she has time, and just maybe give whatever updated information she has about this, because I know she's staying on top of it. So, but enough said on that. So let's talk about first the jail update. We had a meeting this week. It was our 2-week meeting. And as far as the jail on phase 1, all the detention ceilings are installed and completed. Light fixtures and everything are installed. The floors are sealed. The carpet and floor tile people for the areas to get those are supposed to be in next week. And the electrical has started working on the elevator shaft and powered for that. In the next couple of weeks, they plan on finishing the sheetrock in the kitchen ceiling area. We planned on having the concrete done on the Circle Drive into the Sallyport by this time today. But every time they got ready to bring the contractors in, it rained. So that's been delayed. They're looking at hopefully getting that done next week. Painter continues to work diligently to come up with enough paint to supply himself for phase 2. So he's been running all over the Midwest doing that. We learned at our meeting that apparently Sherwin-Williams has about 9 plants that manufacture paint for about every paint company in the nation. Doesn't matter what brand is on it, it's made by one of their plants. 8 of those 9 plants are in Texas. And the freeze that took place down there ruined a lot of inventory and shut them down. And so now we're seeing the ramifications from that. And so they're trying to get caught up. So luckily our painter has some good contacts with the regional manager, and he's had to drive to Oklahoma and some different places to get paint supply for the courthouse when it gets to that point. So, but they hope to have enough on hand. So then we are also there installing a jail phone and some other things. Things are progressing well. We're still looking at hopefully 2-3 weeks here to have it done. And within, as we get nearer and we're kind of certain of that fact, we will plan an open house and some events there before we actually occupy the jail. Phase 2 into the courthouse side, things continue to work diligently. The plumbers are working in the basement, getting that underground plumbing done, and hopefully they'll have that closed in and ready to concrete the floors in next week. They cleaned out the sewer pit early this week and are updating those pumps. Windows are scheduled to be here next week and be on site and get those installed. If you've driven by today or late yesterday, you'll see that they have the Dickinson County Courthouse print, the letters mounted above the main entrance now. I got those up yesterday, and all of the area that is what they call EFS, it's the infill around the windows, has now been finished. So it's ready for window install. So framers continue to work on all 3 floors, as do the masons. And the electricians continue to put in the conduits and electrical stuff. The elevator contract notified Wood Builders recently that they have issues with the old elevator shaft. Now, all of a sudden, they're not sure that they can build an elevator to go in that shaft. They've said all along that they could. I don't know what's changed. Apparently, it's changed dimensions. I don't know. But they are working with their engineering to try and figure out options on doing that. So, and then the masonry company has gotten back with Lloyd Builders, and they've given them a bid to do the tuck pointing and sealing of the limestone on the front of the building. In the big sheets of limestone that are there now around the main entrance in that area, the joints between those have deteriorated over the years, and that is letting water back in there. And if you go up the stairs between the first and second floor on the south stairs, you'll see on the wall, it looks like, I call it salt or some type of white stuff that comes through. That's because of that moisture that's been leaking in. It's been doing it for years. So we're going to have them go in and grind those joints out, repoint them up, and then they'll put a sealer caulk in that seals it to take care of that problem. So another one of those things that wasn't anticipated, but it really needs to be taken care of. So everything continues to work well, work along, and there's not a day goes by that there's not major changes going on. So we did meet earlier this week with Proscape on the landscaping and grass and sprinkler systems. And so they're working with Lloyd Builders on that as well to make some plans for that. So we talked about the relief funds in the work session a little bit. We did get an email earlier this week, Janelle and I did, that we had to respond to make the application, the official application for that funding. So we did do that. And so we are in the queue. I had gotten an email yesterday from the Reno County Administrator that they had also gotten the same email. They had acknowledged theirs. They received the funding in the bank yesterday. So we anticipate we'll have some money for some of the relief funds transferred to Leah sometime today or possibly tomorrow. Senate Bill 47 was passed this year, which included, I think you have a flyer there from Chuck that included Dickinson County as a rural opportunity zone county, something that we had been trying to get done for a few years and couldn't get done, but now we are. So that's good news. Bruce wanted me to relay to you that the real estate, personal property, and oil and gas tax certifications have been completed and they have been transferred to the county clerk. She's happy, I'm sure. So she has those in well within the time limit, so everything can be appraised properly. And the last thing I have is the Thrasher Company was in Harrington Tuesday and Wednesday, and or Monday and Tuesday, and they redid the issue at Station 2 EMS with the foundation sinking. If you recall, we had that done a couple of years ago, spent a substantial amount of money on it. It continued to settle. It was covered under warranty, so they had a crew in and they worked very diligently to get it done. And so now we're having the carpet layer come back in and put the tile on the pieces of carpet back down. And the damages that we have to deal with were very minimal. We did not have to move the crew out. They stayed there while they just moved up to the front of the building. So hopefully this time we have a benchmark that we can monitor. And when I talked to Chancey the other day, I said, I'd like to monitor that for a few months. And if it doesn't settle anymore, then we'll have a contractor come in, cut the door jamb frame completely out, put a new one in that's square, and replace the door properly. So other than that, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Doug?
We're in the process of contacting again with the two title companies that are within the city limits of Abilene for the purpose of moving forward towards the tax sale, identifying the parcels that would be subject to that. And then we will move forward with the preparation of the court documents that we need to move forward from there. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. As far as notices and communications, we have a magazine from Ingram's, and that is Kansas City magazine. And sometimes it is specific to Kansas City, otherwise sometimes statewide, but it has articles about businesses and some of the best companies to work for as far as their rating is concerned. We also have from the Kansas Historical Society a notice, and it is a copy of a letter that was sent to Daniel and Christina McDonald of Harrington, Kansas. And previously we had this in a meeting, but they had applied to the Kansas Historical Site Board of Review to have their house nominated, the Liggett House, to the Register of Historic Kansas Places. After a review, it has been approved, and so congratulations to them. And it's nice when people have a property that's worthy of that designation, and they've taken time to restore it and renovate it and do it in a proper way. And I'm sure it's a wonderful property, and congratulations to them. I also have a packet or cover letter from the Gans Family Farms. And they indicate, they have written us before after the meeting in regard to the National Heritage Area. And they are in opposition to the National Heritage Area designation being proposed for the 49 Kansas and Nebraska counties. And so they have sent some additional information, and also some of this discussion, I believe, is from what they've indicated is taking place in Montana. And so they are respectfully requesting that the county join other counties in Kansas and Nebraska in being in opposition or opting out of the National Heritage Area. So I'll leave this so all of us can take a look at it as we have time. I did have one other call from David Mills, and he had the similar concern that on the National Heritage area that he would like to see the county consider opting out on that. Okay, that's all I have. Was there any other communication or letters or emails that other commissioners had received that you'd want to bring up at this time, or that we have not brought up? We do not have any resolutions. There's no unfinished business. It's a short agenda today. There's no other business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And is there a second? I will give the second then for adjournment. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adjourned.